My love was in ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting and our coverage of the Adrenaline Therapy 200 here at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll get to introductions here in a second, but first we have got to thank our fine sponsors for tonight's event. And to start those off, we've got Tricky, Facebook Live video game streamer Tricky. He streams every Sunday through Friday at 7:30 Eastern. Follow him on Facebook at Tricky with 2 R's. And next we have Outlaw Desert Racing. Outlaw Desert Racing is a 501c3 nonprofit located in the Southwest. Adrenaline Therapy is a program being implemented where we place the military or first responder, active or veteran, into an off-road desert race vehicle as a navigator to give them an adrenaline rush and become a team member with a sense of purpose again. We take them out of their element and show them that there is more to life and there are people who care. If you would like to learn more, please check out their their social media pages and their website at www.outlawdesertracing.com and on Facebook, Outlaw Desert Racing, Instagram and TikTok, Outlaw_Desert_Racing. And we also have Joe's Speed Team. Joe's Speed Team, proud partner for the Below the Double Yellow Racing League. I am Brandon Colley, and joining me tonight will be Sam Dyer, as well as Robert Moyer Jr., as always, up in the production booth, giving us these fine camera angles and making sure everything looks nice and crisp for you guys. So, Sam, it's looking like a slick one out here at Texas. Seems to always be hot in this part of the country. Could be a really exciting race because of that.
Yeah, extremely hot as the ambient temperature is going to be 88 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp 113, and it is clear. Sunshine is beating on this course, and drivers have 3 minutes left here in practice. Here in Texas, it's race number 2, and this is going to be a fun season. Iowa, the season starter last week, where that of Hutton able to come out and take a win after being consistent, and Eric Hutton, really a driver to watch out for, especially here today, currently 5th on the board, but he wasn't the fastest driver during practice last week, and he's not the fastest here this week, but still, everyone's running pretty close to the same times here in Texas during practice.
And I can tell you, I turned a few laps earlier on. These guys, looks like a little bit more rubber's getting laid down. They're trying to find some grip somewhere, but the track is definitely loose. Right now, fastest time on the board is going to be Adam Baker with a 30.39 in practice. A little less than a tenth quicker than second place of Bradley Wilson there. So these guys still struggling a little bit, but the draft is helping keep these speeds pretty high. Qualifying times, I imagine we're going to see around the 30.5 seconds right now. It looks like Dallas Sullivan and Jeremiah Vincent, Nick Gardner, and Safe Ferris going to be leading those guys right now. I don't know if they've got any draft help for their practice times, but we'll have to see if anybody can put together that quick lap here, because I think track position is going to matter, especially with how loose these cars are.
Yeah, I mean, looseness for sure, and you were talking to me about it before we went live. It looks like the setup made for the first corners number 1 and 2, but then you said it seems to get extremely loose off of 3 and 4.
Yeah, the way that the new setup or the new configuration for Tex is just that flatter, more sweeping turn 1. It's really where you make your time. It's where you've got to figure out how you want your setup to be. And it looks like iRacing has gone ahead and just tried to make a slighter tight setup, I guess, for turns 1 and 2. But in turn, because you're making it turn much more in the flatter corner, the much higher banked 3 and 4, it really wants to over-rotate. So these guys, they're going to have to pay attention to that, especially on cold tires. You're going to have to be really steady with your wheel and even more steady with that right foot.
Yeah, and with them having to deal with that looseness and also tight sensation, I mean, the drivers certainly are going to have to figure out how to balance that and trying to save their tires. Luckily, the driver is going to have quite a few tires in pit road, 5 sets in pit road to work with for this 120 lap race. Also, is going to be split in half for stage 1 and the rest of this race. With the race being split in half, it really gives the drivers an opportunity to really take a lot of lessons for those first 61 laps and then really help themselves on later on. Less than 30 seconds left here in practice. Like you said, Adam Baker top the line, Bradley Wilson in second, and Anthony Pelican in third. Anthony Pelican won stage 1 last week. We'll see if he can win another stage or even get a win to set himself straight to start off this season. It's only a 10 race season, so if you're going to be making a lot of charges and doing well, got to start off early, especially if you didn't do so hot last week.
Well, like you said, only a 10-week season, and consistency in that 10 weeks is the name of the game that will get you the championship. And it's much easier to finish in the front consistently when you start there. So as we're rolling into qualifying, I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to be keeping that in mind, looking for that nice track position to start off this race.
And you touched on how track position is going to be extremely important. But Brandon, for qualifying, you ran a couple of laps. What do you think is the best way to warm up these tires or attack these 2 laps that they're going to be having?
Well, you come out of pit road as it looks like we're watching the 28 here. Take the approach. You come out of pit road, get up to speed, and just kind of run a little bit high through 1 and 2, or through 3 and 4, excuse me. A little bit less rubber up there, kind of chews on the tires a bit, gets a little bit more temp in them, and you can get a much better run out of the corner to set up a really flying lap into turn 1. You take it a little bit easier into turn 1. Tire's not quite up to temp yet. Your fastest lap is going to be your second lap. Just try to see where the grip level's at. See if you can push it maybe a little bit harder for the next corner, or the next lap rather. And you've got to be super smooth when you get down into 3 and 4. Because like I said, it's super loose there, and you cannot go full throttle. You're really having to back off and kind of have the car tell you how much more throttle you maybe need to give or how much you need to take out of it to keep the speed up the highest here. And if you can set it all right, you should be getting out of turn 4 with a lot of speed to take your second lap.
Steele getting loose through the center of 3 and 4. Going to be bogging down his speed just slightly. Currently 7th. It's going to be Bryant Seaborn going to be on top of the board with a 30.543 for his first lap. And a lot of drivers trying to get their first lap going. It's interested to see who of the whole entire field not going to be putting a lap down during qualifying. They got 10 minutes to put a time down as Steele rocketing out of 4 for his final time. Looked quite smooth through 3 and 4 where he was shaking on his first time around. Looks like it's going to be a 31.019, 13th currently, but that does not look like a strong time to hold up for him to be staying in the top 15.
Well, Anthony Pelican now shooting to the top of the board, the first driver to break that 30.5 second lap. He's at a 30.47 right now, almost a 10th quicker than Brian Seaborn in second place right now. As we're watching now the 51 come around to take his laps. Bradley Wilson up to second on the board, also breaking that 30.5. But then Eric Hutton, last week's winner, saying, you know what, guys, I want to go back-to-back 30.44, sitting at the top of the board right now.
I was looking at Eric Hutton's iRating, and that's the number that the drivers can get if they run officials, and they can really build that up and help get experience here on iRacing. And Eric Hutton, his iRating is a 39.92, so almost a 4,000 iRating. Comes with a lot of experience. He's used to racing with those drivers on the higher end, and certainly you can see that pace as he's on top of the board.
Yeah, it's a lot of experience with really the top guys as far as oval racing goes here on iRacing, and that experience absolutely will translate down to your league races in your off time where you're not there battling for those statistics and that iRating, that safety rating that you would in official races here. And a lot of guys use that, I guess, for practice. I take my official racing not quite as seriously as my league racing, but it's really good practice because there's always going to be guys that are better than you and always guys to learn off of.
The driver with the highest iRating actually going to be Adam Baker. So I won't be surprised to see him trying to put a fast lap down if he decides to put a lap down. He has not gone out for qualifying time, as right now we're watching that of Justin Carey running in 20th position after his first lap. We'll see coming out of 3 and 4 what type of speed this 21 car has.
It looked really good through 3 and 4, kept it pinned down to the apron there nicely, clipped the grass just a little bit, might scrub some time there, but 30.7, good enough for 14th on the board, so not too bad.
Not bad at all. I was looking at some of the other drivers that are trying to put times down. This is going to be Joshua Abbey. Going to be currently in 22nd after his first lap, coming through 3 and 4 to finish off his second, and just trying not to scrub time, but there he goes, getting loose through the center and through the grass. This time is not going to count, but luckily, a little bit of practice on how to save your vehicle if you get loose through the center of the corner.
Yeah, some style points there, making some tracks down in the grass. Not conducive for good lap time, but yeah, like you said, Sam, definitely learned a bit about hey, if this happens to me in the race, I know that I can save it.
Well, this is going to be Lane Sulfridge. That's going to be coming around 3 and 4 of his second lap. Really low. One of those drivers really sticking it to the white line, and it might have bogged down slightly. Got to be careful not to get too loose, but across the line, hoping to move up a position. To wait for the time to come in. Doesn't look like it's going to be bettering the time at all.
And now we got the 13 coming around for their lap here. Jordan Scheffler looks like he's going to be on his first lap, waiting really late into qualifying. Well, I say really late. I'm used to the 5-minute qualifyings here. They got the 10-minute for the below the double yellow, so plenty of time left here. Might have played something out of the playbook from somebody last week. They waited later to qualify and let the track cool down a little bit more grip to go out there and put down a quick lap here. We'll have to see if that pays off for the 13.
Yeah, the track temp has gone down 2 degrees since what it was like during practice. It's right now 111. It's gone down, I believe, 3 since the start of qualifying. So the waiting method might be the best one. Scheffler's going to be coming across the line. Was 30th position after lap 1. Lap 2 puts him up to 19th.
Well, not too bad. Still in the 30-second bracket there. Sure, you would like to get more, but I mean, starting in the back there, you got a lot of chance to conserve your stuff. It's not necessarily a really bad place to start. And if there's somebody around you that you think maybe is a little bit faster, it's a good opportunity to learn and see how they navigate traffic and where they're setting up passes.
Yeah, drivers still going to be having a little bit of a drivers meeting coming to the end of qualifying for those that have already finished their time. So they're going to be able to just wait and see what they're going to do. It looks like the 19 of Dylan Teal. He's going to be a driver that's going out as we're watching Scheffler slowly make his march to pit road.
And Dylan Teal, this is not his first try going out. I think he looped it, might have looped it on his out lap the last time. Reset, getting back going here, starting to take his first lap. Watching him a little bit too high going in turn 1 here, but just trying to sweep the entry here, generate a little bit of heat. And you can see just getting a little bit loose out of turn 2 on the cold tires. These guys are really going to have to be paying attention to that. You can get back to the gas pretty hard, but a little bit too much wheel into it, and the car's not going to be too happy about it.
And also with Teal messing up on that first initial try, he's only going to have this one lap to try to go up, and it's not going to work. He's going to go off course once again. So Teal going to have to start at the end of the line hard into pit road, and that's going to be a learning experience. Don't want to be doing that during the race, as these drivers do not have a fast repair to work with. So whatever you wreck with, you're going to have to repair, take time, and could be putting you multiple laps down. So all these drivers got to be conscious of not putting themselves in a terrible situation early on in this race. As coming up to 2 minutes left in qualifying for those that still want to put a time down, which those 3 drivers would be Adam Baker, Zach Smith, and Brett Sommer that we're waiting on if they want to go back out there and even try a time, or just say, hey, I'm going to stay in the back and slowly and methodically cut my way through this field.
I'm quite surprised, Sam, to see that Adam Baker's not put down a time yet. Seeing that you were that fast in practice, I would not want to mire myself back in traffic knowing I've got a good shot to get a top 5 or even better, maybe, knock Eric Hutton off this pole. Because you got the speed, you can probably make the passes, but being that far back, especially with seeing how loose these guys are, they're having, trouble getting around the corners here, figuring out the balance and what they need to do with the car. You can very easily get caught up in something very early just because you decided maybe on a whim that I don't want to qualify.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the times that the drivers put down, it looks like for, Teal, we saw he messed up on both of his laps, so none of them are going to count. For Baker, it looks like he tried to put a time down, but he might have scrubbed it off by going into the wall or through the grass, losing a time on his first attempt and just saying, I'm not going to even try on my second lap. Same for Summer. Looks like he messed up on his first lap and deciding otherwise from going back out there on track. But we still have a minute left here in qualifying. A big thanks to all of our sponsors again for being a part of this. Excited to see how these drivers are going to be attacking this race here at Texas for 120 laps for the Adrenaline Therapy 200. Exciting to see what below the double yellow Xfinity series have for us. This is round number 2 of a 10 race season. 30 seconds about to be waiting, and then we get to go under green. Brandon, got to be asking you, what are some things that you're expecting to see here early on in this race?
Well, I'm expecting to see the guys, especially anything back from about 10th place. You're really going to be taking it easy here, just letting the tires get up to temp and just see what the balance is like after they get warmed up. You do not want to try to push too hard here with everybody packed together on a restart and get loose, because sometimes guys check up in time, but other times they do not, and that could cause a big problem with a field this big. Everybody trying to get on the binders there and cause a massive pileup. So just let everything get sorted out, and then, once you feel comfortable, get after it and see what you can get.
Well, qualifying has come to a close. We're going to have a total of 39 drivers, potentially all on track. A pretty big field to see. But we're going to take a look here at our grid, as it's going to be Eric Hutton, the winner of last week at Iowa. He'll be on top of the board. Then you've got Anthony Pelican, stage 1 winner from last week, trying to make a good run. Then you also got the 51 of Bradley Wilson, Brian Seaborn, James Loveland, Safe Fares, as well as Nick Gardner, Dallas Sullivan, Kyle McGarvey, as well as Dennis Faircroft.
Jeremiah Vincent going to be in 11th position. Chris Wheeler 12th. Alan Dice 13th. Justin Carey in that 14th position. Jacob Houston in 15th. Nathaniel Ostrowski in 16th. Nick Starling 17th position. Cody Adkins in the 81 and 18th position. Jordan Shepler 19th. And Kevin McGarvey rounding out your top 20.
And coming in 21st, it's going to be Brandon Pearl, and then Andrew Stacy, as well as that of Nick Alvis, Abby, Steele, Means, Beverly, as well as we're going to have Emmanuel Sulfridge, and Payne, your 30th driver.
And rounding out your field is going to be Lane Sulfridge in the 31st, Robert Happy Gilmore in the 40 and 32nd, Adam Baker 40 in the 48 33rd, Brett Somers 34th, Dylan Teal in the 19 35th, and Zach Smith in 36th position.
36 drivers getting ready to be on track. And gotta say, this is going to be a fun one to watch. Texas, for some drivers, they love going to these 1.5 mile courses. They feel a lot more comfortable. Some of the drivers that we weren't seeing do so well last week, they got to be excited. 1.5 mile racing, it's all about saving those tires. Top 5 in pit lane, but you want to make sure you got the best ones after about 10 laps or so.
Yeah, you've really got to conserve and be very cautious on these opening laps here, because if you overdrive and scuff the tires up when they're cold, getting them up to temp, they're just going to be too hot to get a lot of pace out later on. You're going to really have to back it down and give up a lot of time just to try to gain some time back a little bit later on. So name of the game is going to be patience to start here.
Patience for sure. Eric Hutton trying to go back-to-back, winning last week at Iowa and now trying to win here at Texas. And for drivers that, are going to be up front, what is the best way that they could be attacking these corners if they're trying to save those tires?
Well, firstly, if you're going into turn 1, just because of how flat it is and how tight it gets, you really want to back up the corner. Dial in your brake bias a little bit to help the car turn and not just try to turn with the wheel. You can carry a lot of speed in to try to hot lap, but it's not going to be good for your long run pace. So just back up the corners a little bit. Try to sweep the entry a little bit if you feel like it's comfortable. If not, you can run it in pretty straight as long as you don't let the car carry too much speed and wash up the track. Nice and smooth on the exit. Try to keep it pinched down as much as you can, and you won't burn up those tires nearly as bad as everybody else who can't figure that out.
Stage 1 comes to a close at the start of lap 61. So we're going to hope to have a long green flag run to see if these drivers can keep it green, but we were seeing during practice, it looked a lot harder. It's time for the Adrenaline Therapy 200. We're under green as Eric Hutton takes us to corner number 1.
It looked like a big checkup there. Anthony Pelican not quite ready for that start. I don't know if he missed a shift or was just in the wrong gear, but did not get going at all. It looks like we're already 3 wide in turn 1, coming out of turn 2 there for, it looks like, the 6th, 7th, and 8th position.
Gotta be careful not to be making any carnage here, but when you're this side by side, especially when you're coming into turn number 1, gotta be careful of attacking these corners.
And looking at Dennis Faircloth here in the 80, just now getting through that 3 wide position. And cold tires, I do not want to be 3 wide with anybody. I will gladly roll out of that, and I'll say, catch you later, my friend. Just try not to wreck it in front of me.
Yeah, I think that is the main goal for a lot of these drivers. Just don't wreck it and hope that you stay up front as front man Hutton has just pulled away everyone else, scattering and trying to figure out how they're going to be moving forward, especially for some of the drivers that might have not had the best qualifying time, was quick during practice, but now they got to figure out how to march their way through the field.
Yeah, one of those being Adam Baker, and if I'm Adam Baker in this position, I'm just thinking, okay, I've got pace. I just need to be incredibly smart with how I'm navigating this traffic. Eyes ahead, trying to see if maybe there's any danger coming my way. And if I can do that, I know I will get to the front eventually here. Just got to be smart.
Goal is to save those tires and make sure you got the best stuff once it comes to the end of this race. Everyone up front, they're running as clean as they can be, but the battle for 6th place, Seaborn and Gardner, they are still side by side. And Seaborn really trying to just hold on for the best that he can. Started in 4th, dropped back a couple of positions. He's got to be careful not to drop out of the top 10.
Yeah, that little checkup on the restart there really sent Seaborn back there looking to rebound. You can make the high side work out of turn 2, but the inside lane is preferably going to be where you're going to want to be. And like I said, 1 and 2 is the key to this racetrack. Everybody is more or less going to be able to do the exact same thing, run the exact same pace in 3 and 4 throughout the entirety of this race. How you approach turn 1 and 2, your exit speed of turn 2 is going to make the big difference. That's where you set up that move to make your pass into turn 3. If you can shuffle somebody out of the preferred lane and get inside of them on the backstretch, you will easily make that pass.
We're starting to see those drivers that are on the high side, such as Seaborn. I mean, the high side doesn't look terrible to be running for themselves, and with the iRacing update, I mean, does it seem like a second groove is usable here?
Well, I don't think this track has been affected by the latest iRacing track dynamics change. I think it's just due to the nature of this setup, Sam, just a little bit on the free side, so running higher on the track is going to be a little bit more comfortable for you. You're going to have a lot more confidence in getting your foot back on the throttle and carrying a little bit more speed. The downside of that is that traditionally you can carry more speed up there, but it's going to hurt your right front just a little bit more. Once the tires wear in, I think guys are going to be able to start going back toward the bottom, and that's going to be where the fast guys are making their lap time.
Well, speaking of the high side, it looks like for Bradley Wilson, he no longer wants to follow in the shadow of Eric Hutton. He's going to be trying that outside lane and just trying to gain as much as he can. He was right on the back bumper of the 88, trying to battle for the lead. But it looks like trying the high side, he's lost a little bit of ground.
And trying to search around for some grip here, and he's also got to worry about that dirty air. When the tires are cold and the guys are really feeling that loose condition of the setup, that dirty air can kind of help you a little bit. It'll kind of take the nose off, or the air off the nose, not have it turn quite as well. You'll feel a little bit more comfortable. But once things wear in, you're going to have a harder time getting back to the throttle and trying to get the car to rotate. Just seeing if maybe there's anything around in the clean air that'll help him gain a little bit of speed here.
Looking at drivers, we're coming up to 10 laps into this race, and this is around the point of if you've been trying to save your tires, you're going to be matching pretty well of the speeds of what the leaders have been doing. And James Loveland, currently one of the fastest cars on track, really wasn't trying to push too hard at the start, kind of backed off early, and now he's one of the fastest cars trying to run down that of Anthony Pelican.
Well, right, last time by, Sam, James Loveland a couple hundredths quicker than Anthony Pelican, but it looked like almost 2/10 exactly quicker than our first and second place drivers of Eric Hutton and Bradley Wilson. So James Loveland definitely one to watch right now.
He's doing a great job trying to save those tires and making their march forward. Update for Adam Baker, who started all the way back in 33rd position. He's moved up to 26th in just the few laps that he's been running. The biggest question for him is what is his tires going to look like after trying to go through all the drivers that are in front of him?
Well, that's the biggest question. You know, you start in the back, and you've definitely got the pace we know Adam Baker does based on his practice times, not his qualifying times. But again, it's the dirty air. Once the tires get worn and everybody's a little bit more equal, running in that dirty air just heats up the fronts a little bit more than if you had the clean air, and it makes it harder. Every pass you get, the closer to the front you get, the guys are a little bit quicker, the little bit more tire you're going to have to use to get by them, and eventually that adds up over time. Saving grace is they're going to have to pit estimating at least 3 times this race here, so as long as he can get good track position during this first run, he's setting himself up for an even easier time after that pit cycle.
Yeah, expecting these drivers to split the stage in half, pitting around lap 30 to 35. That's the window that we're estimating that the drivers are going to be coming in. But, you know, some drivers, they always blow our minds on how far they can really push these cars fuel-wise, on how well they can save it. But looking at some of the drivers and where they're trying to make passes, it looks like Seaborn will drop back to 8th after being passed by Gardner. And a lot of the field, they're kind of starting to split up just slightly. Loveland is caught up to Bradley Wilson, and Wilson looks like one of those drivers that really was trying to push to get into the lead and is backfired for the 51.
It really has. His lap times have dropped off pretty significantly. Now the only car in the top 7 to be running in the 32-second bracket, our leader currently at 31.5, Anthony Pelican 31.69. The next one in the 32-second bracket would be Dennis Faircloth in the 80, and he's dropped back now outside the top 10. Brian Seaborn back to 8th here, but you can see in the back of the pack, wow! Oh man, these guys are getting into it here. Looks like we might have a caution. Oh, the 22 goes around going into turn 3.
That's going to be Chris Wheeler bringing out the yellow. And Wheeler having his issues as we and see if this popped up, and it did pop up. We'll see it in the replay.
Looked like there, Sam, the 22 a little bit high coming out of turn 2. Just scuffed the wall a little bit, bounced back into it, and off into the 4. And then around they go. Great heads up for pretty much everybody to avoid that. I think somebody right here at the end going to come in. I think it's the 42. Just maybe not expecting that 22 to come sliding back up the racetrack.
Yeah, you're hoping the driver's going to be able to hold the brake and stay low, but oh, hard contact there for Kyle Payne. So about 3 or 4 drivers involved in this thing. But man, was that a ride for the 22 of Wheeler.
Now, Sam, I'm wondering if anybody opts to come here and try to get tires and take advantage of some fresh tires. We've only gone 15 laps, but from what we've seen, these guys were running over a second slower 15 laps in than what they were running for their best laps of the race.
I mean, they still got an extra set. We're expecting them to pit 3 times at least to do this race. And if they're planning on, they got 2 extra sets to work with. So a lot of the field coming in now. There might be one driver I'm expecting probably in the back half of the field trying to get bonus points to stay out and try to get a bonus point, and then might fade to the back and pit the next time around. Everyone's coming in, it looks like, trying to get service done for themselves, and not surprised, especially if they're a full second off what their best lap time was. They were going to drop back quick, and they would need another quick caution to have a chance.
Absolutely. The biggest worry there is, hopefully those guys on the fresher tires can navigate you safely, and just try to hold your line as best you can and let them get around you here. I think if anyone had tried that strategy, they'd have been safe to have not fallen a lap down for quite some time. Probably would have been able to make it to the end there with the fall off that we saw, because it seems like after about 15 laps, everything kind of evens out if you've not really pushed your stuff. And like I was alluding to, right before that caution happened, right about mid-pack there were quite a few guys that were really showing that they'd abused their tires and were falling back pretty drastically. It was definitely a logjam back there.
Yeah, I mean, 3 wide action at times, drivers trying the high, low line, anywhere that they could go to find space, and especially with, the setup trying to be made to help drivers get through turn 1 and 2, You saw the, I mean, I was just about to ask before that caution happened of, at some point, does the car start to tighten up through 1 and 2 the older the run goes on, or do you think it would start to loosen up? And I think we saw there by the 22, it starts to really tighten up for some of these drivers the longer the run went on.
Yeah, the name of the game is survival on those colder tires. You know it's going to be loose. You just try to not loop the car, or try to stay out of anybody's way. If you feel like you've got to back it off more than some other guys are willing, you give them the position and just ride around until you feel comfortable with it. Just how they're driving off into turn one, eventually it's going to heat up that right front enough that it's not going to want to rotate quite as much on entry to turn four, and you can be a little bit more aggressive with it, but you've got to be patient and wait on that. And saw quite a few guys swinging out really wide in 1 and 2. Definitely going to help that up, but you're going to lose a lot of time doing it. We saw the 22. If you go too high, you're very good risk of catching the wall off the exit.
Yeah, we also had a string of drivers that had to stay in for a little bit of extra time, already scraping the wall. Cody Atkin, as well as that of Abby, Stacy, McGarvey, and everyone from 27th on back all had to come into pit road, get some type of service done of extra time on pit road, getting repairs done for themselves. But it looked like Shepler as well, both of Lane and Lyle Sulfridge taking some fuel as well for means to go a little bit further if we get a long run set up here.
Well, if you're already at the back, no sense in not doing that. Just take the advantage. You're already going to start there anyway. Just pack it a little bit extra fuel, maybe go a couple extra laps, and it might do you a whole lot in the long run. Here, as we're back under green, and Hutton taking off like he did on this initial start.
Yeah, not surprised to see Hutton just moving along, trying to get as much of a bigger lead as possible. Side-by-side action for second place. And these drivers got to be careful early on, especially on those fresh to rubber. Don't want to get too loose. But these drivers have a lot to handle, especially coming into here a 3 and 4.
I saw 44, Safe Ferris really get loose there on the inside and allow Brad Wilson to do the crossover there coming out into turn 3. And Wilson looking to rebound there, get back to the back bumper of Eric Hutton here. Looking really smooth through 3 and 4 this time by. I'll have to see how he can navigate getting around the 98 of Anthony Pelican.
Pelican, certainly the longer the run went on, I think Pelican was a slightly faster than Eric Hutton. Just took, about 8 laps for those tires to finally come in. And also, I think it helped that Wilson was pressuring Hutton, making him have to use his tires. And now we'll see, with Hutton having a little bit more space, Pelican can now pressure the 88 to burn off his rubber.
Well, I think to that effect, Sam, it really hurt Wilson a good bit more trying to pressure Hutton than it did Hutton. I think Hutton's biggest enemy right now is himself, the driver of that 88, because when you've got fresh air and clean track ahead of you, you kind of forget, okay, I need to reel it in here and run a consistent pace, because you're not having to check up or slow down for anybody. You can run as fast as you can run, and that can really get you into trouble a lot of times if you don't have the discipline to say, all right, I get this really consistent here, we're not trying to qualify.
Yeah, not trying to qualify at all. Some of the drivers that started outside of the top 10 are finding themselves now into the top 10. That's going to be that of Jeremiah Vincent, who's in 5th place, as well as Nick Starling, who started back in 17th place up to 9th. So great runs for these drivers, making an early jump into the top 10.
And even farther back than that, Adam Baker now cracking into the top 15, along with Brett Somers at the 7, both up 18 positions here. Like I said, just take care of your stuff, and after that first pit cycle, you're going to have a lot better track position and a lot easier time to gain positions before your tires really start to wear in, and everybody's kind of equaled out.
Yeah, and both for Somers and Baker did not put a lap time down during qualifying, and so now they're kind of just working together. I think for Somers, realizing, hey, Baker's a lot faster. If I can follow in his trail, I'm going to have a lot easier path getting by all these other drivers. So I'm going to slowly, methodically make my way forward following the 48.
And Somers a little bit off the back bumper now. Not sure if he got a little bit loose, but the 48 starting to put some distance on the 7 right now, looking to chase down the 14 and Nathaniel Ostrowski. And that's a big group of cars there in front of the 48. Pretty good pack. Pretty single file right now, about from the 10th position, about the 7th position on back, that Adam Baker's finally starting to reel in.
Yeah, that's going to be Nick Gardner, who also has Levelin behind him. And Gardner just looks like he is getting loose and heavily pressured. Might also be just thinking about saving those tires until the lap times start to match with the leaders and then make their charge forward. Some of these drivers with the telemetry that you can have with virtual racing, you can really see with the whole entire field and their lap times that they're running. So it allows you to more have time on, should I lay off or should I be pressuring a little bit harder?
Yeah, there's a lot of options that you have as a driver on the iRacing sim as far as additional things you can have, like that telemetry, those different spotters that you can get. Just a lot of different information, and it's all based on driver preference. It's where a lot of guys, they want to know all the information, and other guys are really minimalist, where you want just the little delta box that you get that iRacing gives you that'll show you the difference between you and the cars directly around you. And say, you know what, I'm only focusing on this guy here. If I know I'm faster than this guy, once I get by him, I'll see where I stack up against the next guy and just go ahead of that. But there's really not that much as far as to information. Really, any information is good information. If only there was something that they could tell you, okay, this is the exact line the leader's running in this corner, and this is why he's outpacing you. If they could give me that, I'd definitely have that add-on.
I think that's when you throw in a real-life spotter to give you that type of information. I know that's another thing. Some drivers like having a virtual spotter. Some like having to have a real-life person giving them that information. That's a pass for fourth, as Farrer is going to be passed by Vincent. And Vincent's looking pretty quick for himself, running a little bit faster than the leader. And speaking of our leader, looks like just hoping to keep on having a good run for Eric Hutton. Bradley Wilson was really running down the 88, but he's kind of plateaued and hit that same marker. He's quick in the first 10 laps, and then he just starts to fall off.
Yeah, and I think it's just a little bit of pushing the car too hard. Maybe felt like Eric was getting away from him, felt he needed to pick up the pace, but now he is running a tenth slower. See what it is this time by. He's within 0.3 of a second now of the 88 this time by. Eric Hutton fell off pretty significantly from his first lap. Now Bradley Wilson going to be 0.2 quicker right against the back bumper of the 88.
Yeah, it seems after we get 10 laps into a run, you can really tell which drivers were pushing and being aggressive, and those that have just been in save mode and continue to try to be in save mode but are running pretty similar. It is very interesting to look at the last couple of laps. Some of the drivers are losing time because they've been passed and battling with one another, and others just because the tires are starting to wear down. And it's going to be a talking point all race long, as these drivers, with how early that caution came, they should still have to pit here around lap 45 to 50 is around the window that we're going to be seeing some drivers thinking about coming into pit road and getting some service done with how early that caution came out.
Well, at this point, if you're somebody that's outside the top 5, within the top 15, I think anywhere farther back than that, you're just going to lose a little bit too much time. Think about undercutting. As soon as you know you can make it to the end of this stage, come in here, take advantage of a bit fresher tires, and try to just hold on to the gap you're able to create when the rest of the field comes down pit road. Based on the fact they've only had the one caution, I think that's a pretty viable strategy. And normally, you don't want to think about that type of strategy, because if you get caught a lap down, pulling it is now, Bradley Wilson into the fence here, going to allow the 98, and it looks like Jeremiah Vincent now up to third place in that 9 car.
Don't want to get into the wall, especially there's no fast repair. If you are hitting the wall, if you're not at least pancaking it and smoothly bouncing off the wall, you should be all right. But if you are coming off in an odd angle into that outside wall, you are going to be ruining your car and your day. Still side-by-side action going on for second place, as Jeremiah Vincent has been doing a great job. I mean, qualified back in 11. He's been slowly passing drivers. Started this run back in 6th place when we went green again. Now up to second.
Well, Sam, and I think what we just saw there in 3 and 4 is what I was talking about at the top of the broadcast. At the high side, when the tires are loose, the car's loose. It's a pretty viable position. But once these tires wear in, the drivers start feeling a little bit more tight handling. That inside lane is where you're going to want to be. And right now, we are seeing both Eric Hutton and Jeremiah Vincent roll that very, very well. But Vincent, I've got to give a slight edge to here. Slowly starting to reel in the 88.
I was looking at some of the passes that, Vincent's made. A lot of drivers that he passed kind of gave up that position pretty easily and just said, you know what, just take it. We're not going to be battling too hard. Kind of giving me the thoughts that they were letting off so that they weren't burning off their tires in a non-essential battle. way too early. And one of those drivers, that's Fares that really let the 9 go. Now he's making a great charge here on Anthony Pelican.
Well, I've got to think, Sam, that certain places, I know especially in Texas here, through 3 and 4, if somebody gets to the inside of you, there's really not much reason for you to try to abuse your tires to hold on to that position, because it's just not going to happen. If somebody is able to get to the inside of you, you kind of just got to play it smart and let them go there and just try to file in, follow behind, and see if maybe your tire wear is going to end up being a little bit better. And talking about tire wear being a little bit better, looks like Dennis Faircloth in the 80 up to 20th here, making short work of the guys behind him just a couple laps ago. Now looking to chase down Nick Alves in the 24 up in 19th here, battling with Brett Somers.
Yeah, I mean, doing a great job for themselves. Now they have been attacking one another. Faircloth, like I said, doing needs to be done. And also looking at drivers that have been trying to make a good move. Started all the way back in 33rd, now up to 9th. Adam Baker, the driver that was fastest during practice, didn't put a qualifying lap down, and now in the top 10. I think the rest of the field has to be slightly concerned on how this 48 machine is going to do moving forward. Currently, one of the fastest cars on track, not the fastest. I think he's about 8th fastest of the whole entire field, but doing a great job cutting his way through everyone, and certainly could make a charge into the top 5 based on how well he's been moving forward.
Yeah, I think Eric Hutton and the rest of the top 3 right now really have to be worried about the fact that, okay, we don't want a caution here. We don't want to give Adam Baker all this free time to gain on us by having a restart. See how the pit cycles go and see if we can maybe stretch this out or just hold on long enough. Because like you said, Adam Baker looking like one of the fastest cars on the track last time by, tied, I believe, 3 different ways for the fastest lap on the race. Jeremiah Vincent being one of those with a 32.06 to our leaders 32.2. So Eric Hutton kind of falling off a cliff here. Is now Jeremiah Vincent gonna take over that lead?
Yeah, I mean, Hutton, I think it was around 13 laps into a run. That's when his pace started to drop off. And I think it was really that pressure that Bradley Wilson was putting on the 88 and making him have to push, and was saving his tires a little bit better than the 51 machine was, but it's still a little bit too aggressive to my liking. But Jeremiah Vincent, this 9 is just pulling away and has been one of the fastest cars on track for the past 3 laps. And no surprise, now up to a 3/10 gap over that of Hutton.
And the fresh air doing wonders for that 9 car of Jeremiah Vincent. Now turning laps last time by in the 31 second, where everybody else was still in the 32 second. This time by back to a 32 flat, where Eric Hutton 2/10 slower last time by. Safe Ferris in the 44 and 3rd, still running 32 flats, as well as Adam Baker back in 8th position. Bradley Wilson in 11th, also running now running 33 flats. So I believe something happened, that damage for the 51, detrimental right now, as he is about a second off pace.
Yeah, it is just hurting him more and more, and he'll continue to drop back the longer that we stay green. Great battling going on for 4th place, as Anthony Pelican and Loveland, they're on top of one another, also giving Nick Gardner a chance to get mixed in with the 16. And don't look now, but also Seaborn, he's just lingering behind, waiting to make a charge.
Seaborn, one of the quickest cars on the track right now, slowly catching these guys. And I've noticed that the cars that have managed to have a gap between them and the cars that they're chasing down, a significant difference on speed, but the closer they get, the more that dirty air starts to slow them down just a little bit. And you can see that really in the lap times dropping off ever so slightly from what they were able to run just a handful of laps before.
Drivers soon to be thinking about pit stops here, probably in the next 5 to 10 laps or so for some of those leaders. And for some of the drivers that were thinking about stretching it a little bit further, that's the Sulfridges. They're back in 24th position and 26th. They've got a couple of machines that they're trying to figure out how to get by, but with them being so far back from our leaders, about 18, 17 seconds back, if our leaders have to pit under green, possibly if they're running this slow off pace, do you think maybe they've been saving enough fuel to make it to the end of stage 1 here?
I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of just the tire wear making them slower. Sure, you're going to burn less fuel just by the nature of going slower. The longer this run goes on, the less fuel you are burning per lap, and it's going to be able to go a little bit further. But if you're going to save enough to make it to the end, you are definitely not going to be running the pace to even contend in the top 10 at this point. You're going to have to drop like a rock, really backing up the corner, clutching it, letting it roll a substantial amount to save enough fuel and just try to squeak by to the end of this stage.
Issues for drivers all the way in the back. The 19 of Dylan Teal. He has officially become our first DNF of the day. You hate to see for the 19, did not have the best qualifying time, and also just hoping to have a better week going on throughout the season. It's still early in the season, but it's still only a 10-race season. You can't be making these mistakes early on.
Absolutely not. And looks like we've got some drivers coming off of pit road now. Chris Wheeler in the 22 involved in that first caution. Back in 34th position, but going to be on fresher tires, I believe, here, unless he just took a splash. So he should be cutting through the field, hoping to maybe get a lap back once the leaders cycle around here and come down for their pit stop. But Chris Wheeler being 7 laps back, he's going to hope that not only can he get that lap back under green, but he's going to have to hope for a couple cautions here, as he is the lucky dog.
Yeah, luckily he is the lucky dog, and no one else is a lap down. Currently 7 laps down for Wheeler. But even with fresh tires, the 22 is going to run slightly faster than what he was doing previously. But with the damage that the 22 had, I would be surprised if he was running just even with how old everyone's tires are, just slightly faster than what everyone else is running.
The damage is absolutely going to be hurting that 22, as well as a lot of other guys we've seen so far just scuff the wall a little bit. The 44 has damage on his nose. We saw the 31 with that significant damage. It's going to hurt you really badly on the short run, but you're still going to be a little bit slower on the long run. You just can't quite get the aerodynamic speed that you want. You have to carry so much speed going through 3 and 4 here that any kind of damage that hurts that speed, you've got to hope a lot of cars get damaged and you somehow manage to save your tires better than them. Because anybody with a clean car, you're not going to be able to outpace.
Well, the drivers, we talked about pit road, about to get busy here in a little bit. That's going to be the first driver coming in. It's going to be Bryant Seaborn. Very early pit stop. I'm surprised he's coming in this early, but starting off the pit cycle for all these drivers, Seaborn was in the top 10 when he had to come into pit lane, so going to be going with a little bit of a different strategy than most, undercutting here. And I think that's not a bad call, especially with the low amount of laps we're going to have. End of stage 1 at lap 61. So, get as many laps positions as you can before everyone else comes into the pits.
That's exactly right. And the longer that the leaders decide to stay out, the bigger of an advantage that Brian Seaborn is going to have. And now we've got Bradley Wilson on pit road as well, getting his stop done. Looking like it's going to be 4 tires of fuel here. Going to be away with a 14.87 pit time. Very good pit stop for the 51 there. Opted not to fix that damage this time by. Going to wait for the stage caution to get that done.
Yeah, you can't really lose time. If you're going to be short pitting, you've got to take advantage of the tires and worry about the damage later on. And now's the question of when does everyone else pit? Do they try to stretch it as far as they can? Which we're expecting pit stops to get extremely busy with everyone coming in here, at least in the next 7 laps or so, just because of the lower amount of fuel the drivers have. They're running on 65% fuel, and another driver coming in, Nick Alves, into pit lane.
And Joshua Abbey on pit road as well. Looks like the 20 of Joey Mean is going to be going a lap down here to the leader. So he is currently in the lucky dog position until Brian Seaborn able to catch him and make that pass. But also Brandon Pearl now going to be on pit road. So slowly guys are starting to trickle in. I think within the next 5 laps, the majority of the field is going to have to hit pit road if they can't make it.
I think really you got to look at some of those drivers that are losing a lot of ground. Eric Hutton, he's really got to worry about coming to pit road, and I think this would be the best lap for Hutton to come in, just because he is the fastest in the first 11 laps, and if he comes in now, it's going to be 10 laps to go in stage 1.
And even now, looks like Eric Hutton may be trying to save some fuel since he does not have the pace here. Is Nick Gardner now going to go underneath him? That might be the play for the 88 here. If he just backs it off a little bit, he might be able to save just enough fuel. I'm not sure how short a lot of these guys are going to be, but it could be right in the ballpark for that 88.
Kyle Garvey, also Nathaniel Ostrowski, going to be coming into the pits for themselves. And those are some of the drivers that were in the top 15, so we're starting to see those drivers up there. But 10 laps to go in stage 1. With maybe when there's 5 laps to go, you got to be thinking those drivers, they're going to just send it and try to stay out as long as possible.
Well, I'm thinking if there's a certain point where if you pit, you're just going to be a lap down when the stage comes to an end. You're not giving yourself a chance to use those fresh tires to get back to the front. And some of these guys, if you can't make it, you might think about not taking a set of tires. Try to save a set here. Take it with the stage, because guys might only be putting 5 laps down on their set of tires and essentially wasting one. So if you can come in, top off on fuel, not take that set, and save it for later on, it could benefit you, because we've seen what the fall off is.
Yeah, it is terrible to see Sullivan as well as Starling, Smith, and Farcroft all coming into pit. Farcroft staying out. But a lot of drivers now coming into pit lane. Got at least 4 of them coming in. And yeah, I mean, I think when it's 5 laps to go in the stage, that is really when you're putting yourself in a tricky situation. But caution waves, and this changes everything.
James Loveland going to be on the receiving end of this one.
He is hard into the tire barrier, is Loveland. And that's just a lack of patience, if anything. Pelican just driving right through that of Loveland.
Well, I'm not sure so much the patience there, Sam. I think that was just a miscommunication. I think Loveland was trying to come into pit road there. Pelican just not aware. And do you see the closing rate? Anthony Pelican trying to go full speed, normal pace here, whereas Loveland trying to slow down for the pit road entry. I'm not sure if James did not call that out, or maybe Anthony just did not hear him, but that is disastrous for James Loveland. He was having a really good run tonight.
Yeah, it was a great run for Loveland, who started qualified in 5th, has been running in the top 5 all race long, and now is going to be scratching his head on how much damage repair can he get right here. And with the timing of this caution, it's going to be, I believe, a 2-lap shootout for these drivers. So question of who's going to stay out and who doesn't. There's one driver that is going to be challenging by staying out, and that's going to be Justin Carey in the 21. This is a scary moment for these drivers, but hey, why not try something dangerous by staying out if it's only going to be a 2-lap shootout?
Well, I think it's just a matter of trying to maybe save the set of tires here, maybe just hold on just enough to get some points in this stage. But guys, on this restart, blinking you're going to miss it, because Justin Carey is not going to be in the lead for very long.
I mean, he might be in the lead on the entry of 1, but we're expecting him to be losing that lead through the middle of 1 and 2, unless the other drivers can somehow make a major mistake. And I think that's what Carey's kind of banking on, is for an early caution when they go green, which is very possible. We've seen that happen in other leagues where, if restarts happen, somebody misses a shift or wheel spins, and it could throw everyone into a charade where they're just wrecking everywhere.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful. I don't think we're going to see too much wheel spin out of the guys who've just come into pit here. Oh, it looks like Justin Carey staying out just to lead a lap here, trying to get that bonus point. Going to relinquish the lead now to Jeremiah Vincent, the 9 car, who was able to win that race out of pit road. So Jeremiah Vincent back to the lead here. Nick Gardner, and it looks like going to be the 44 of Safe Ferris, the top 3 to take this restart.
Of all the drivers that came in last time during the green flag pit stop, so it looks like a lot of them decided to go with fuel only. I will say this, that Jeremiah Vincent only went with fuel, it looks like. Could have gone with 2 tires. We'll try to take a look on my end and see if he only went for 2 tires, but it looks like he might have just gone with fuel only.
And I think that is just trying not to waste a set. You don't want to put too little amount of laps down, and it hurts a lot of the guys that came into pit because a lot of guys were kind of pinned a lap down here by this caution. Cody Adkins, Kevin McGarvey, Brandon Pearl, Dennis Steele, Robert Gilmore, Lane Sulfridge even were pinned laps down by this caution here. And they're going to have fresh tires. And some of these guys at the front really wasted a set. I mean, they only turned a handful of laps on them. to immediately go in and kind of throw them away. You don't get to use your scuffs here on iRacing, so once a set's off the car, it doesn't matter if it only had 99% wear on it. That set is done. It might as well have had 0.
Oh my goodness. I went back. Jeremiah Vincent went with 2 tires only on the right side. So you don't get to see very many times the drivers trying just 2 tires, but that is a risk the 9 is trying to take. I mean, it's only a couple of lap shootout, so why not throw it out there?
This very viable strategy, as we're seeing, he was able to take the lead. But if you haven't tested this, knowing how loose fresh tires are already, 2 tires will just double or even triple that handling issue for you. So I'm going to be watching very closely here just to see if Jeremiah Vincent maybe has some big moments during the shootout here, because he can't afford to really save these tires. He's got to go if he wants to win this stage.
Also looks like Jordan Shippler, also another one of those drivers that's going to be taking 2 tires only. Of note, Eric Hutton, who was running in second, leading most of the laps during stage 1, he's going to be back in 6th place. Had to take a lot of time getting repairs done on the 88 car. Might have brushed the wall while we were watching other drivers, so got to watch out for the 88 if those repairs are done, how much quicker he's going to be.
Ooh, I am nervous for these guys, Sam.
Oh yeah, a couple of drivers with 2 tires. Will wheel spin be an issue? Looks like Vincent able to get going pretty cleanly there. Now the question, did the 13 get a good launch? He did, and we stay green. Remember, stage 1 comes to a close at the lap of 61, so get a little bit of a shootout here, just a few laps for the drivers to wheel and deal and see how far they can get. Top 10, get bonus points. But it looks like that of the 13 already 3 wide, back in 7th place.
I'm here watching Jeremiah Vincent. Nice 1 and 2. A little bit loose on the exit, but now 3 and 4, where we've seen it be really loose. The 44 all on his back bumper, trying to get her that run to the outside. Gonna peek the nose here, but I don't think that's gonna be preferred. Going down into 1, I will have to see if the 44 can make that lane work. Gonna slot back in behind the 9, try to go after him again for turn 3.
We might have to see a similar incident like we saw for Loveland, getting shoved out of the way for the 44. Safe's going to be trying to go up there. Bear's doing everything he can on the high side, but you can just tell with fresh tires, you don't want to be coughing up the inside lane just in case Gardner comes out of nowhere. But a great launch for the 44. Tries to go to the outside, side by side. He's right at the door with his nose, but he's going to need a little bit more help. White flag of stage 1.
Yeah, Jeremiah Vincent slid a little bit on the exit of turn 4 there, allowed the 44 to get that run across the start-finish line here. Now it's going to be a drag race. Slight advantage to the 44 with the run on the high side, but preferred lane going to be on that inside here. Let's see if Jeremiah can keep together for one more set of corners to bring home the stage win. A little bit of contact with the 44, shoves up the track.
Contact from the 9 onto the 44. Sorry's already been given out by the drivers, but it's going to be Jeremiah Vincent winning stage number 1. As they come around, waiting for all 10 drivers to come across the line, and caution waves.
Well, 9, brilliant strategy there, just enough to pay off for the stage win here. I'm sure Ferris and the 44 are going to be a little bit agitated by the contact, but it doesn't seem like any extra damage on that 44 car from what he already had. Managed to keep it out of the fence, no harm, no foul. Should be able to get back after it here. Looked like he definitely had the pace over the 9 car for that short little sprint.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, this is great things for Jeremiah to take in for if we have a green-white checkered later on in the race. If everyone comes into pit road, 2 tires might not be a terrible strategy to try out. And now he's got a half a set to work with if needed later on. Well, stage 1 has come to a close, and with that, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it is going to be time to race it to the end here for the Adrenaline Therapy 200 for the below the double yellow Xfinity Series.
When we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to worry about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that was all game, that was all an illusion. The only thing that's going to matter is the impact you had on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about my life here on this earth is at my funeral, they won't talk about my success. They'll talk about who I was and how I lived and how I loved and encouraged. For the last 3 centuries, our craft has helped us and our brothers before us develop from who we were to who we are now. As Masons, we honor and value meaningful relationships with our families, with our brothers, and with our communities. We are needed to bring relief to those most vulnerable in our society. We are needed to bring hope to those with fewer opportunities than ourselves. We are needed to bring light to a new generation. We are Masons, and we are always here when people need us, because we believe it is our responsibility to help make this world a better place. We live these values by helping those in need. And now, in this modern world, we're needed more than ever.
When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Below the Double Yellow Xfinity Series for round number 2 here at Texas for the Adrenaline Therapy 200. Stage 1 winner was Jeremiah Vincent, and we'll do a quick interview with the 44 as they are getting ready on their final pace lap before we go green once again. Jeremiah, it's Sam and Brandon up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah.
Well, you won stage 1 on a very gutsy call. You went with 2 tires. How did it feel going with 2 tires for those small little bit of laps?
I was like ice skating. I had my hands full there, and a lot of fun running side by side there, safe to the stage end.
And Brandon, you got a question here for Jeremiah?
Well, man, went ahead back under this caution here, threw the left sides on this thing. What are you feeling like your pace is going to be compared to guys that maybe stayed out here, didn't take any tires, or maybe came in and took 4?
I'm just going to do what I did there at the beginning of the race, just kind of take it easy, see how guys are doing, and just creep my way back up there. I don't feel like I got a lot of short run speed. It's all in the long run.
Well, but the good news is I think that's going to be the key to this race here is that long run pace. So got to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
That was Jeremiah Vincent, stage 1 winner, as we are getting ready to go green once again. And Brandon, stage 1, got to see a handful of cautions coming out, but both you and I were talking about under that caution, commercial break. Kind of surprised there weren't more.
Generally, when you've got a setup that's a little bit on the loose side like this to start out, guys try to take advantage of this restart with everybody being bunched up, gain as many positions as possible. Normally get a lot of accidents, so hats off to these guys for keeping it together as they have, and only had just a handful of cautions we've had so far, keeping this thing flying by, already at lap 65, ready to get the second half of this race underway.
It's going to be a crazy one. Your top 9 did not pit under this caution, and that means a potential chance of drivers really scattering through, and cautions could be seen here if people are not reacting quick enough. Pace car rolls off, and we are green, racing to the end of lap 120 here at the Adrenaline Therapy 200.
That looks like the 44 Safe Air is electing to restart on the high side there, hopping down in front of Nick Gardner. Now Eric Hutton looking to follow suit. Anthony Pelican still holding strong in that 4th position after the contact with James Loveland during the pit cycle there. Doesn't look like too much damage on the 98. It's definitely not hampering his speed.
No, not at all. And it really looks like everyone's single filed up until you go back to 11th place, where you got to be careful. You got that of the 9 and the 8 side by side racing. And especially with the drivers that are on those older tires, you've got to be careful, especially with the speed difference that we're going to be seeing here on these next couple of laps.
And 9 of Jeremiah Vincent up here, holding pretty strong with just the left side tires. Right side's going to have a little bit of wear on them, but the cool down period going to help that a little bit. But if I'm not mistaken now, Jacob Houston going to be one of the cars that has not hit, already fallen back into the clutches of Alan Dice, Bryant Seaborn, short lead to follow, as well as the 14 and Nathaniel Ostrowski. Now passing the 9, looking to chase down the 8 and make short work of these cars that have got the older tires.
Yeah, I mean, for Hughes, he's got the oldest of all the tires out here. So not a bit surprising he's already dropped down to 10th place. The question is, he's got a hornet's nest of drivers. And we're in also how to get out of the way smoothly, but also he's been doing a decent job holding everyone off that's behind him with the fresh rubber.
I think a lot of that's due to the cooldown period, Sam. I think once we get another handful of laps where his tires are going to be more up to temp here, I don't think it's going to be a very significant difference. They did not run that many full speed laps. It was just enough to really get the tires up to temp. It definitely wore them, but not enough like we would have seen in between the pit cycles, the older tires still on the track and the guys just coming out of pit road. But it is an advantage, and as a race car driver, you will take any advantage you can get. And if by 2 lap fresher tires, that's all you can get, that's all you're going to take.
Marching through the field once again, Adam Baker. He's got slight rear end damage on that 48 car and currently in 13th, but he's got some drivers trying the extreme high line, middle, and low in front of him. And man, there's just a pile of cars from about 7th on back that are just all trying to itch and figure out how they want to move forward, as well as, whoa, Seaborn, gotta be careful, getting a little bit loose from Stacy, getting a little bit too close to that of the 76.
It's definitely a hornet's nest back here. These fresh tires just trying to figure out where they're going to pass these guys that are a little bit off pace. See a lot of guys being up higher in 1 and 2, and it's definitely costing them time. You can get a run on the high side there, but fresh tires roll the bottom very, very well.
It's kind of an interesting look at. I'm just looking at all the pit times and how long drivers were in. You know, for some of the drivers that pitted on this at the end of stage 1, they decided, some of them, just to go with fuel. Some of them went with only 2 tires. Most took 4. That's why we're seeing a jumble of drivers from 7th on back, you know, on top of one another. Is because everyone back there also on very different tire strategies than most.
Well, I think if you were a driver that took 4 tires for that 2-lap sprint to end this stage, I would have to say go in and just take fuel. Like I said before, you don't want to essentially waste a set of tires. You know you're going to be a little bit off pace here, but if you take care of it and let these guys really have a hard time, you know, try to push the car and get by the guys that they feel like are going to be slower than them, it can cycle back around to you just being patient and having better tire wear. The long run pace, like I said, to Jeremiah, I feel like that is going to be the key. We have not had that many cautions to set up a lot of short runs here. So if you can take care of your stuff for the long run, you're going to make up a lot of time.
Yeah, looking at the drivers that have taken tires on the last set, leading that charge is going to be Brian Seaborn, and then also Adam Baker. They're running 8th and 9th currently. And Jeremiah Vincent, looking at the times that he's been putting down, he was running very similar to those drivers that took 4 tires, but after running about 11 laps, you're starting to see that wear really hit, and having those 5 extra laps of green flag racing, it's starting to hinder the 9 as he's running currently in 10th place. But our stage 1 winner, he's going to be falling back here and probably staying around 15th place once we get everyone cycled out where they need to be placed.
Well, and like Jeremiah said, he felt like he didn't have the short run speed, definitely relying on his long run speed. Just taking it easy, and by no means has this been a bad call for the 9. Still in 10th position here, really good track position. A little bit off pace, but I tell you, the more the laps come in, it's just going to be a matter of time. Maybe not get back up to the lead, but I think that 9 car still has a legitimate shot of getting back up into the top 5 before this next pit cycle.
Our top 6 still those of drivers that decided to stay out and didn't take any fuel or tires, and they haven't done so in the past 20 laps. They're going to be able to go a little bit further because of the stage 1 caution and saving fuel under pacing. But we're now starting to see that at Baker. He's now going to be leading the point of drivers with the freshest tires, trying to get by that of Alan Dyson. They almost went 3 wide there into entry of 3, and that is a very sketchy place to try to go 3 wide, especially on how the tires and the cars just been reacting with everyone around them.
Yeah, I was just about to say a lot of patience being shown here by the guys, but saw somebody get up into the fence. I believe that was the 80, and take advantage of that break of momentum there was Dallas Sullivan to shoot that hole and get 3 wide, getting a couple more positions here. Now looking to go to the outside of Adam Baker down the backstretch here. Not quite going to work. Still under fire from Brian Seaborn on the inside here.
Sullivan is just gunning it. He's realized, hey, I've saved enough tires, and you guys have been really making a charge, trying to get by the drivers on older tires. Then I'll make my charge on the outside. Kind of has backfired. He's got to fall back in line in 9th place. As Dyson and Baker, they
a little contact. Brian Seaborn turned around off the nose of Dallas Sullivan there going into turn 1.
Also looks like that of Bradley Williams. Wilson was also involved in that one. That was a hard lick for 2 drivers that were making a charge forward. As we'll see on this replay exactly what happened. This is your Freaky Fast Broadcasting replay. And you're just going to see Seaborn as well as Sullivan racing hard, and a slight contact on that rear left bumper is going to get Seaborn sideways. Sullivan nowhere to go. And you're also going to be seeing out of the 51 just trying to get out of the way, but makes contact. And the 80 somehow sneaking by as cars wreck around that lime green machine.
Well, I tell you, Sam, I don't know if something happened between these 2 guys in another race, but if I had somebody hit me 3 times to make sure I was turned, I might be thinking I'd done something to make them mad there. Might have to have some words after the race, figure out what the problem was. Man, it looked like once he got the tap might have been incidental, but it looked like it. He was just definitely trying to finish the job off there. Just 1, 2, 3, and around you go.
I mean, also might be thinking, hey, if I can just spin you completely around, you'll get off my nose quicker. If anything, it might have damaged him a little bit more there. Sullivan has to figure out how to get that repairs done. But most of the field coming in, and by most, I mean all coming into pit road that were on the lead lap. Kind of not surprised by this. Some taking 2 tires, some taking just fuel, and others taking 4 tires. So still a mixture of strategies. Just because the way that first green flag pit stop went down in stage 1, it's kind of now scrambled everyone up on the different types of strategies you got to do, who's going to be saving a set of tires for later on. And now the question is, with this caution, drivers are just on the brink of making it. So this could be your final stop if needed. Some of these drivers still have a set, and some have 2 sets still in pit road if needed.
Well, looking at that there, looked like Nick Gardner and Safe Ferris both taking 2 tires on this stop here, and fuel to come out with the lead in 2nd place. Eric Hutton, though, 3rd place, 4 tires, and everybody back all the way to about 15th position, going to be taking 4 tires on this pit stop here. So it may work out well for Nick Gardner. We've not seen what the fall off is on the longer run with just taking 2 tires, but it definitely works on the short run.
I'm not a fan of taking 2 tires now. You're right on the brink of making it on fuel and with tires. Why wouldn't you take full 4 tires and fuel at this moment and just take fuel for that? For Gardner, it looks like he only went with fuel and only for 2 tires for their affairs.
Well, what I can immediately think of, Sam, is that you want the track position because you understand you're going to give up time. you come out a little bit ahead to kind of negate the time you're going to lose, but also with the 2 tires, inherently you're going to be going slower, and going slower is going to save you a little bit of fuel. So just naturally, he's going to be able to go longer if he takes care of it and doesn't try to overdrive, which could make the difference between a lot of guys not being able to make it and him being able to stretch it just far enough to sneak out the win.
Yeah, I might be thinking of a net gain, at least for Gardner. For Fares, it just seems odd to go with 2 tires, but I think he also saw what that Vincent was able to do with just 2 tires, thinking, hey, I can do very similar, as it was Fares that could not figure out how to get by the 9 to end off stage 1. So could be thinking, hey, he was doing a great job defending, but I think for that Vincent, he was just saying, hey, I held on somehow, even though it felt like the pace was given to the 44 at the end of stage 1. So this is going to be a fun one. 40 laps to go currently for these drivers. And coming into pit lane, Gardner comes in and tried to lead a lap, doing the same thing that Justin Carey did earlier on, get a lap led, and then come into pit road.
Well, I imagine he may be taking that left sides now, just trying to get out, like you said, to lead that lap, topping off the fuel here. We'll have to see if the left side of the car goes up in the box. And did he just... Oh, I think he just did a splash and go last time. Now coming in to get his 4 tires. So that was just a strategy to try to lead a lap here. So now the 44 going to be leading the field with only those 2 tires. And from the 44, who's had the pace to be at the front of the field all race, really contending for the lead. I don't think you want to put yourself in this kind of position to be so off sequence. I think if you've got the speed like the 44 has, you don't want to do anything too different because it can cost you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is only his 3rd pit stop for Fares, so he still would have had a total of 2 sets in pit road if needed. So this is a very odd decision not to take 4 and only go with 2 tires, but he's made his bed. He's now got to sleep in it and hope for the best here. And if this race goes green, I don't feel good for the 44's chances of finishing in the top 10. If not, he'll hope to finish in the top 15. Pace car rolls off. And less than 40 laps to go here in the Adrenaline Therapy 200 for the Below the Double Yellow Xfinity Series. This is only race number 2 of a 10-race series. It is going to be a fun one. Fares only with 2 tires. The rest of the field, they're on 4 as they're taking off. Fares, great launch for himself as the side-by-side action for second place.
And just behind second place there, that battle is the 48 of Adam Baker, up 29 positions. We talked about he did not get a qualifying time put in here. Now, just outside the top 3, slowly looking to make his move on Eric Hutton and Anthony Pelican, but they are still side by side, blocking the way for that 48 as we've got a caution.
That's going to be Dennis Faircroft, going to be involved in the 80. And he was one of the drivers in the last caution that just got away from an incident. Didn't get involved, but this time around, loops it all on his own. And a little bit of off-track incident. Do not have the camera for this incident, but it was a self-spin coming out of 4. That spot that we were talking about where drivers can get the most loose, and we saw during qualifying the same incident of drivers getting loose. Similar thing happened to the 80.
Well, no harm there, no foul there. Really, all that's going to hurt is the tires on the 80 of Dennis Faircloth. That's the good news. No body damage there. Bad news is going to have to restart at the tail end of the field here, and he might have to throw on a new set of tires there because lighten them up like he did getting loose. Those tires are going to have a lot more wear on them, a lot more heat, and they're not going to be happy, and he's not going to have a lot of speed.
Yeah, now we're going to be starting all the way back. Currently running in 26th position, but these drivers only were able to run about 3 laps. And it looks like no one deciding to come into pit road this time, which I think for some of those drivers in the back that took 4 tires, why not come in, get a splash of fuel, and know that you're good fully to make it to the end. We know for sure that they are good at this point if they have to come in, and we'll wait and see who decides to pull in. And it looks like from 15th, Brett Somers going to be starting that train of drivers that's going to be coming in, getting a splash.
Well, I think that's the smart move, especially if you're back around the 20th position here. There's no reason to really not give up too much track position. You're only realistically going to lose at the most 6 spots. And there's far more to gain by being able to stretch it to the end here where other guys maybe cannot, even with these caution laps. But I have to imagine with these caution laps, there's going to be a lot of guys understanding how close they are to that lap marker that they're going to need to pit. And if I'm one of them, I'm sitting out here clutching the entire lap as much as possible just to save every last little drop I can. I'm not coming out of 4th gear until we're getting ready to take the green flag.
Yeah, I mean, right now, looking at, Eric Hutton, he's clutching it right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if others are. Some of the drivers that are running low, I mean, Sullivan, he looks like he's clutching it, trying to go low and staying as low as he can, shortest way around the track, and also trying to save fuel. And for these drivers, during that long green flag run that we had, drivers were able to stretch it 40 laps. And from the time that they pitted, it was going to be about 42 laps that they were going to have to go for. So it was going to be close for these drivers. Just going to save a lap or two. And especially with this caution, I think it does allow them to make it all the way to the end. But for those drivers that pitted, they are now fully secured. And it looks like a lot of them taking tires for themselves. That of Joey Means, as well as Stacy taking some tires. And Farcroft as well taking tires for himself. So some of these drivers in the back, they might have a little bit of fresher tires to work with to see on the longer run if they have enough to run down or at least get an advantage from where they were before previously.
We'll have to see. And the biggest thing is these guys that have come into pit, they're definitely going to be good to the end. But we've also got to consider if there's overtime. Some of these guys, like Eric Hutton, that's out here clutching it right now, trying to make it to the end of the race, they may be able to make it to the end of the race saving right now. But if we have an overtime, they could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, overtime would be worst case scenario for a lot of these drivers. I think if we have a lot of cautions that keep on piling up, it might give an option for these drivers to save enough fuel to make it possibly for an attempt. But if we have more than one attempt, these drivers are going to be really sunk out of water and don't want to be stuck in that type of a situation. But Fair is going to be getting close to the pace car, having some fun while pacing. And for all these drivers, for race number 2, I mean, this has been a pretty clean. Yes, there's been cautions, but I think we were expecting to see a lot more, especially with the way this setup was.
It really has been quite the clean race so far. It's just general racing incidents. There hasn't been anything that's really out of the ordinary that really stood out. It's just guys racing hard and things happen on the track. A little bit of contact, a little bit of miscues there, and that's really been the cause of it so far. So hats off again to these guys for keeping this going and keeping it as clean as possible. There's some guys that have a good bit of damage, but very little, I think, from incidents. Mostly it's just handling issues like we've talked about, just getting up into the wall a little bit there and trying to just fight the handling balance of these cars.
Yeah, I think the handling balance is going to be one of the biggest things, and now we're going to have a little bit of a chance to reset. They're stacking up. Drivers are going to be starting in the back. Dennis Farcroft's going to be all the way in the back of the field, getting an EOL. So we'll see how the 80 is going to be able to attack. But luckily he came in, got tires, so it won't be too bad of a strategy with getting hit with the EOL just to get the fresh rubber so he can make a charge forward.
And I've also got to point out this last caution allowing Bryant Seaborn to get back on the lead lap now. Going to be in the 27th position after his incident with the 46 in turn 1 just a little while ago. So back on the lead lap, can still salvage some more positions, and he's got plenty of time to potentially crack back into the top 10 here by the time the race is over.
Going to be a little bit more than 30 laps to go when we go green. And the real question for our leader currently, that of Fairs, has and will those only 2 tires that he put on, will they hold up? And also, how are those left side tires going to look if we stay green to the end? As pace car is off, green flag in the air. The 44 gets a great launch, and Adam Baker follows suit, almost completely clearing that of Hutton.
Wow, that was a great restart for Adam Baker there. Timed that and got absolutely everything he could. Eric Hutton going to have to check up there just a little bit. Baker now, he's got the 44 set well within his sights with those 2 tires. I do not think that 44 is going to be able to hold off the 48 much longer. It's just a matter of time. I give it 5 laps at the most.
Yeah, a little bit of a discussion is being made, but Baker, because he took off so well with Ferris, he was actually given a black flag because he actually passed the 88 so quickly. Luckily, it's going to be cleared, but that 48 almost had a major scare with how good of a restart he had.
Yeah, and that's really heads up by the race control here to go ahead and recognize that the 48 didn't really do anything wrong. He just timed the restart exactly like he should have, whereas maybe Eric Hutton just caught sleeping a little bit by safe from the lead there, so decided to clear that for him, and it was good news for the 48 because now he's been able to take the lead.
Able to take the lead, and it took him a while. 91 laps it was. Started all the way back in 33rd, had to go through the whole entire field twice, and now leading this race, the fastest car during practice. He is showing that he's got the pace. The question is, has he been pushing a little bit too hard and wearing those tires out too quickly?
Well, it's going to be a matter of time. I think his best friend right now is going to be the 44, trying to hold off Eric Hutton in the 88. Trying to see if maybe he can force Eric to use a little bit more tire than he necessarily wants to, while Adam is able to kind of stretch his legs and build a good bit of a gap that the 88 is going to have to use the tires again to close.
We know Anthony Pelican, he's willing to get aggressive here and wants to get moving. We've already seen him move that of the 56. A little bit of a miscommunication moment, but Pelican is willing to make a charge forward. Stage 1 winner last week at Iowa, and trying to get his first win of the season. Last week's winner, Eric Hutton, he's in second place. Adam Baker, he's usually in the broadcast booth covering the Cup Series for these guys. Now in the car and pulling away as he's over a half a second lead over Hutton.
Well, I think after this race, they're going to say, you know what, man, you go ahead and just stick to the booth. You're out here putting a whooping on us right now, having to come up through the whole field and then just kind of checking out once you got to the lead. We don't pay you to go out here and run laps and circles around us. So go ahead and stick up there with the microphone, bud, and hang the wheel up.
A little bit of, maybe try to get the competition down a little bit. Do want to state this, our Stage 1 winner, Jeremiah Vincent, he's moved up to 5th place and now is going to have the driver that's trying on this run 2-tire strategy, that of Save Fares. He's going to have to worry, and for Jeremiah Vincent, now that he's on the same strategy as everyone else, this 9 was one of the fastest cars after about 15 laps on a run. We just hit the 15 laps on these tires, and I'm nervous for those drivers up front. If he can somehow get by the next 2 drivers of Pelican and Fares as quickly as possible, Jeremiah Vincent might not just win Stage 1, but might figure out how to win this race.
And last time by, he was a 10th quicker than Adam Baker even, our leader right now. Jeremiah Vincent now looking to take the spot away from Safe Fares in the 44 to move into that 4th position. Nick Starling directly behind. And then I got to point out the 57 of Alan Dice. Mired back in the field a little while ago, just behind this battle for the top 5 now, looking to bring a little sugar spice and everything nice up here to the lead pack.
Yeah, I mean, this Powerpuff machine doing everything that he can. Had to go with a different strategy than most. Went with fuel only, getting himself up front about a couple of cautions ago. And with that strategy call, Dice has been able to utilize that strategy to stay in the top 10. So 57, trying something new. Also, Justin Carey, who stayed out on, I believe, our 3rd caution of the day to lead a lap under yellow. He's now up in 8th, a great movement for the 21, but it looks like the action for, at least for 2nd place possibly, it is heating up as everyone from 2nd back to 5th, they are on top of one another.
And that battle heating up very, very quickly. The 9 of Jeremiah Vincent, our stage winner. Last time by, 2/10 quicker than our leader. We'll have to see this time by now. 2/10 again quicker than everyone ahead of him. So the fastest car on the track right now, Jeremiah Vincent in 4th, looking to make short work of Anthony Pelican and closing that gap on Adam Baker because he is running out of time. Getting just over 20 laps to go when we cross the stripe this time.
The biggest thing for Jeremiah Vincent, he's getting by Pelican, but he cannot keep on. If he keeps at this pace, I'm nervous for those tires. I mean, Baker and Hutton, they both have backed off. They're running 31.3s, now push it up to 31.2s, and they have now equaled out with Jeremiah Vincent. Our top 3, all running very similar lap times.
And somebody who's confident in their long run pace, Sam, I think it's just a matter of experience that there's two types of drivers. Some guys that just are really, really good at short run and hot lapping, and some guys that are just really, really good at long run speed. For whatever reason, they can't put together those short runs. They just can't get the speed out of the car. And I think that's just down to being very, very smooth and not wanting to really make violent adjustments with the wheel that you need to have that car on such a knife edge to put down those quick times. And you can put down the fast times like Jeremiah Vincent's doing now on these worn tires, but because he's so smooth, it's hurting the tires a lot less than somebody else who cannot be as smooth as he is, and it's paying off pretty well for him right now. His last stop by, 2/10 quicker than that of Baker.
Yeah, Baker is starting to slow up. Hutton as well for Vincent. They ran very similar lap times, but Vincent just slightly faster. I do want to note, drivers that pitted on this last caution went with 4 tires to make a strategy call. Nick Gardner, he's up to 14th and currently running very similar lap times to our leader, so not gaining time on them fully. Currently, right now, 6.2 seconds back from our leader, but still a driver to watch out for once we get a little bit further into a run. And once we're around lap, I would say 108, we'll take another look to see where Gardner is as he moves up another position for the 16.
Well, he's just hoping that these guys, when he catches them exactly where he wants them to try to make as good a pass as possible, not cost himself a lot of time. Now under 20 to go here. Man, I'm still looking at Jeremiah Vincent up here just stalking Eric Hutton, ever so slowly catching on to him. And now Eric Hutton just kind of making a little bit of an inroad on our leader, Adam Baker, even though they've been running almost mirror lap times. It's just a handful, a couple hundreds between them.
Yeah, they are keeping it extremely close, but Vincent now last time around, about a tenth slower than what our leader was, and he was gaining time. He got to about a second away from our leader, and now is caught up to that dirty air of Hutton, and I think that's another factor that we could be seeing with Jeremiah, with how fast he was running. That dirty air could be a factor on why he might not be able to catch up to both Hutton and for Baker. A little bit of racing action, though, going on back for 7th place, as it looks like Kerry trying to figure out how to get by out of Starling, and also behind them, we got Kyle McGravy and Dice. They're side by side. Kyle McGravy, what a comeback for the 27 that had an issue in their first caution of the day. Had to come in, get repairs done for the 27. He's now up into 8th place in our top 10.
Well, he's got to give that pit crew a raise, because that 27 car is looking pretty spotless right now on the repairs. You can barely notice that anything happened to it. And like you said, up here now in the top 10, looking to charge forward, gain a couple more positions before this race closes out here, but still got a lot of speed. As well as Mark Beverly back in 10th position, up 17 spots in the 15, looking to close out a nice top 10 finishing result here at Texas. And Timmy Emmanuel in the 39 and 11 just behind him, also up 17 positions, looking to break into the top 10.
And Nick Gardner, I said I was going to talk about where he's at. He is now up to 12, just getting by Zach Smith and about to get by Emmanuel. Is Gardner, and that driver is coming. Hasn't caught time, but now giving a slight bump to the 39. Got to be careful. Don't want to be making a caution just yet, especially, I mean, it might help that of the 16, but giving a bump, trying to tell Timmy, get out of the way. I'm moving forward.
Timmy Emmanuel being very aggressive there, just trying to cover off anywhere for Nick Gardner to go, and looked like he overdrove the entry to turn 1, just trying to close off the lane there, but pushed up center as we got a caution.
It's the 51, Bradley Wilson, gonna be taking a spill coming out of 4. We'll see the replay, and this was just all him, as you'll see, coming out of 4 all on his own, having issues just holding on. It's that loose sensation the driver's been having all race long.
Yeah, just a little bit on the tight side coming out, and oof. I think he bobbled just a little bit. I don't know if he caught a piece of the apron there, but it looked like maybe a little bit of a bobble. The car out of control, tightened up once he got it collected, and just trying to get back to the gas, pushed out and hit the wall, back spinning on the infield. Good job keeping it as low as he possibly can. They're locking up the brakes. Nobody else getting involved in that. But a bad day for the 51. Been involved in numerous incidents at this point. Not really any, except for this one here that were of his making.
Going to go back into the grassy sea, just trying to get out of the way of everyone else. But that was your Freaky Fast broadcasting replay. And now the question is, who comes into pit road? And it everyone. Coming in, Hutton, as well as others coming into pit road. And the question of, we saw 2 tires work for about 4 laps, but who's going to risk it and go with go for 2 tires this time around? Most likely we're going to be seeing a lot of 4 tires being taken, but Anthony Pelican just went with fuel. Oh boy.
A bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. I do not think that is the way to go there. The fall off is too great. I don't know if Anthony's just trying to lead a lap here, but I think that top 4 finish that he was pretty much guaranteed to finish just based on his pace is a lot more valuable than the extra point for leading the lap there. I feel like he's going to give up far more points in positions lost unless they get a very quick caution.
And also looks like Faircroft going to be back in 11th place, but going with 2 tires only. Just trying to get a net gain. Was back in around 20th place after getting an EOL and also some other scrambles that have happened to the 80. So trying to possibly get a top 10 finish, most likely aiming for a top 15 for himself, as drivers around him still have 4 tires stacked on. But yeah, this is such an odd call for the 98 of Anthony Pelican, winner of stage 1 last week, and now got to be questioning, how is he going to hold off the drivers behind him that have 4 fresh tires and have the rubber to really pass the 98 in just 2 laps, if not less than that?
Well, honestly, Sam, I'm not thinking about how he's going to hold them off. If I'm thinking, how are the guys directly behind him going to get around him quickly? I don't think that there's really going to be anything that Anthony's going to be able to do. He's going to be able to get the jump on the start, but I think by the exit of turn 2, either Adam Baker or Eric Hutton are going to be able to use that advantage of the fresh tires to just fly around the outside or the inside of the 98.
Looks like issues for Dallas Sullivan. He'll have to come back into pit road, getting service done again for the 46. I heard over the radio, it sounded like one of the drivers might have missed their pit box, and I believe it might have been Dallas that did so. For the drivers up front, I think for Eric Hutton, this is a best case scenario for himself, because he was the best for those first 11 laps on these tires, and then he started to fade off. We're going to be having exactly 11 laps to go if we go green, it looks like here, and that is probably the best case that he could be in.
Well, I'm thinking now, we've seen pretty much everybody elect to restart on that outside lane. That is going to hurt, I believe, Jeremiah Vincent the most. Now, if he elects, Anthony Pelican elects to restart on the inside, that is going to be disastrous for the 88. He's going to have his lane completely blocked off on what is going to be a slower car. That's going to allow Adam Baker to really get the good run through turns 1 and 2 and potentially pull away, because we talked about the short run speed of Eric Hutton, but Adam Baker definitely is not a slouch in the short run speed today. I think whoever can get around Anthony the quickest here, I've got to give them the nod. I think there's just not enough time to have the tires wear in, unless you were just absolutely reckless with how you're approaching these corners, to really allow the guy behind you to catch up.
Well, Pelican going to be lining up on the inside, going to be having himself Eric Hutton behind him. So we'll see if the 98 and the 88 working together, if there's a little bit of communication on how to take off. I mean, it looked like what happened with Baker and Fairs earlier in that last restart. I do want to note, we do have a total of 30 drivers left on the lead lap, so if calamity happens up front, there are positions to grab if that happens. And the driver left 1 lap down, that's going to be Bradley Wilson. Wilson hoping for another yellow, get that lucky dog position, and get back on the lead lap. 10 laps to go when we go green here in the Adrenaline Therapy 200 on below the double yellow Xfinity Series. Round number 2 here at Texas, and we are green. Anthony Pelican getting a great launch for himself, but Hutton did not follow suit, giving space for Adam Baker to fall down into 2nd place as they're side by side back for 5th place.
And it's really not that bad of an idea, Sam, for him to get that a bit slower of a restart here. He's not going to be directly on the back bumper. The 98 can kind of set up the pass, but now it has allowed Adam Baker to get to the inside. Now Eric Hutton looking to make it 3 wide into turn 3, gets blocked off, has to get on the brakes here, opening the door for the 9 of Jeremiah Vincent, but it looks like Anthony Pelican going to kind of be used as a pick here, and I'll say Ferris looking to follow suit on the inside in that 44, making use of his fresh tires.
Ferris is on the same strategy as everyone else now. He was on 2 tires before, which dropped him all the way back to 5th, where he stayed for that whole entire green flag run. Now on 4 tires, has a chance, gets by that of the 98, but everyone else, they're trying to make their charge forward, as it's going to be Adam Baker, Eric Hutton, and also Ferris up in your top 3. Vincent, our Stage 1 winner, he's going to be waiting back and hoping that he can stay close, just in case the drivers in front of him burn off their tires a little bit too quick, as Jeremiah gets a great run for himself, but they are stacking up from 5th on back.
Well, Jeremiah Vincent's going to have to try to put together some short run speed here, as we've got a caution.
Yellow flag, and that is going to be Stacy. Hard contact, and drivers somehow able to phase through that of the 21. Well, they try to go 2, 3 wide coming out of 4, and that is terrible to try, especially with how aggressive and how loose these tires are. And Stacy's just, he just dumps it in the outside wall, and it looks like the 21 of Kerry, he also tried something different himself.
It looked like a bit of an overreaction to the car underneath by Andrew Stacy there. Pushed up just a little bit, tried to put a lot of wheel into it to keep that thing off the wall. It started to snap, and then an overcorrection right in front of the field there. Looks like Dallas Sullivan going to be on the receiving end of that 81, somehow squeaking by there past the nose of Andrew Stacy as well.
Yeah, getting a little bit hung up on the wall and sending them back. Other drivers able to phase through, but man, don't want to see that type of carnage this late into a race. But this does now swap up for some of these drivers. Will and who will come into pit road? I mean, if you see anyone from second, oh, Eric Hutton faking drivers out. It looks like that of the 98 Pelican. He has to come in feeling the pain of just fuel following suit and no one else following him. So now the question of how far can Pelican come back into this race, as there are 30 drivers left on the lead lap. It's going to be a lot of drivers in positions that the 98 is going to have to try to figure out how to get by to hope to get possibly a top 15. This is going to be about a 3-lap shootout here for these drivers to finish out this race. If a caution comes out when we go green again, we'll be going into overtime. But Brandon, what a way for this race to come to a close.
I feel for Anthony Pelican just trying something different there, but sometimes you want to be a little bit off sequence to guys. If maybe you feel like you don't quite have the pace, but when it comes down to it and you're that even and you're consistently, 4th position like he was, you don't want to think yourself out of a good finish, and I feel like that's exactly what he's done here. I'd be very surprised for that 98 if he's even able to get back into the top 15 after this restart here. If I'm in the front, man, I'm just looking for a gap. Anybody that comes up off that apron, if they open the door, I am 100% going. It looks like right now, the stage in the race, the inside of 3 and 4, it doesn't matter how loose you are, that is where you're wanting to be. Track's cooled off substantially. The cars are not nearly as loose. If anything, they're getting tighter on cold tires than they've ever been all race. So you can be a lot more aggressive with it and really make it stick down there.
Yeah, sun's starting to go down, which means the track, like you said, cooling off. It was up in the hundreds and tens at one moment. It's now down to 96 degrees is the track temp. And it continues to drop down more and more, especially with the pace laps that they take. It might even go down another degree. And for these drivers and the way that the tires are cooling off, would you say that you are enjoying and you're liking the fact that the track has cooled off this much?
Well, I think with the track being warmed up, it opens up guys to make driver mistakes, and it lets people take runs at them. If somebody's not able to, if somebody makes a mistake, somebody behind them is able to get to the gas a little bit quicker, maybe keep the car a little bit less loose, carry a little bit better speed, it opens up potentials to pass people. When the track really cools off, everybody's able to carry so much speed and the car is handling so much better. You're not really going to see that many mistakes, and the side-by-side racing especially not going to be as big of a factor. With the hotter track surface, you could run the outside of 3 and 4 just because it handle a lot better, and you could be more confident up there. But now with it being tight, you got to be glued to that apron to be faster on turn 3 and 4.
Well, drivers are getting in line, getting ready to go. This is going to be a wild one on how we're going to be seeing. Does Adam Baker, does he have enough pace to pull away and no one having a chance? Is Hutton, has he saved enough tires to have a chance? Fairs is willing to be aggressive. We've seen him be willing to push other drivers. And I think for Jeremiah Vincent, this was a worst case scenario. I think he was hoping that it would have gone green and he would have had a chance to possibly pass the 44 and the 88 and maybe have a chance for Baker. And I think for Jeremiah, it's hope that he stays in the top 5. Nick Starling, what a run it's been for that 99 machine. He started all the way back in 17th. It's a great run, just like we've seen Baker, who started back in 33rd, now leading this race. For these drivers, it's all about how well can you climb through. Alan Dice, back in 8th place. He started in 27th. So a lot of drivers are outside the top 10. They've made their way in. And now they get ready for a 3-lap shootout when we go green. Brandon, who do you got? Who do you think is going to win this thing?
Well, just on outright speed, Adam Baker has had everybody covered. Eric Hutton's been at the front of the field for most of the race here, but Adam Baker, even on these short runs, he's just got a little bit something extra. So I've got to give the tip of the hat to the 48.
I'm just looking at gutsy moves. I think the 44 might be that other driver to watch out for. I think Eric Hutton, he's hoping that he can get down onto that low lane as fast as possible, but the 44 Affairs is right on the bumper of the 48 of Baker, not giving any space and hoping to take off as soon as possible. This is it, the Adrenaline Therapy 200. This could be it. This could be our final restart of the race. 3-lap shootout, and we are green here at Texas. Adam Baker, fabulous start. Fair's going to be staying side by side with the 88 of Hutton, and Hutton, he's trying to find space. There is none. He's going to stay side by side as they enter turn number 1.
And behind them, Nick Starling able to get the position over the 9 of Jeremiah Vincent. Looking ahead to the 44 Affairs, still even with Eric Hutton, and right now that is what Adam Baker's wanting to see, these two battling and allowing him to kind of pull away. But now Affairs finally getting that pass done, running out of time here as they're coming out of turn 4.
Comes out of turn 4, 2 laps to go, single file for our top 5. As it looks like Starling, he might be trying to challenge and move up, but drivers are scattering. Caution flag waves. We're going into a green-white checker scenario. Hard contact for Kevin McCarvey. Also looks like for the 14, the 70 has no rear end, as we've got the replay at the ready. As man, this was a hard lick for a lot of these racing teams. As here's your Freaky Fast broadcasting replay. Back out of the field, they got racy, and it looked like drivers getting loose coming out of 4. We're going to be seeing some drivers nowhere to go. McCarvey just sees smoke, and there's a car he runs into. Absolute calamity in front. As Kevin spins, and Kevin kind of had nowhere to go there, Brandon. Everyone else in front of him. There you see of the 46 of Sullivan. He's just coasting through, but a lot of machines, they are junked up late in this race.
Well, I got to tell you, Sam, I got to ask Cody Adkins what he uses for good luck, because that is about the 2nd or 3rd wreck that he has somehow been able to narrowly avoid being collected in there. I need him to write something down on a notepad. I need to take that one to the bank.
Ask Adkins how to survive major wrecks, as the 81 just continues to do it. And right now, running in 18th place. And just hard racing. Looks like the 70 was the initial contact, getting help from the 14. And the 14, it's late in the race. No one's letting off. It is time to go, especially with coming to 2 laps to go.
And that's exactly right, Sam. You in that position, you're just hoping the guy ahead of you doesn't have an issue that requires him to get out of the throttle, because you cannot afford to check up. You cannot afford to lose your momentum in the fastest part of the racetrack. This is where you're going to carry all of your speed. And just a little bit of a touch to the left rear, but full throttle and that much steering input, that's all it takes to have that drastic of a reaction to the car getting a little bit of contact. There's just the 70 tight little touch in the left rear, and just snapped around immediately. Not much that he could do about that one.
Not at all. Looking at some of the drivers that have pitted and are going to be starting the back half of the field, Anthony Pelican, our last caution, decided to come in, take tires. He's currently running in 20th place. So, we threw out hoping to get a top 15 after a failed strategy attempt. I think a top 15 is viable here, especially with a green-white checkered attempt and having the fresher tires compared to those in front of him. But for up front, for fares, you thought maybe he had a chance to try to run down that of Baker. Now he's put in the same spot that Hutton was in last restart. He's going to be on the outside trying to find space to drop behind the 48 and have a way to charge at here. Also, these drivers are having a possible of 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. So if we go green and a yellow comes out before we get the white flag, we will go for another attempt, a total of 3 attempts if needed, as we still go for a couple of more pacing laps.
Well, Sam, I gotta point out, while Eric Hutton able to restart now in that 3rd position, same position that the 44 was able to use to make that pass on him the last restart, Hutton has just not really been on the game for these restarts tonight. We've seen it seemingly every restart that he's been behind. Just cannot figure out the timing quite right, as well as everybody else around him has. And going back to what you said about the 98, mentioning that he'd moved up to 20th position. He's gotten up to 20th with those fresher tires, but unfortunately got a significant amount of nose damage in that last caution there that is going to hinder his speed pretty substantially, I think. It's a lot closer to that top 15, but he's got his hands full now just trying to get everything he can out with that parachute on the front of his car.
Yeah, it's going to be a trouble, but I think, touched on it with, having fresher tires. It's such a weapon to have to be able to pass other drivers in front of you. If they're on older tires, they've got to really back off, and it kind of equals out on how drivers are going to be attacking one another. So we could be seeing that of Anthony Pelican, who's been up front, a top 5 car all day, on how well he can try to adapt with the damage on his front nose and how well he can attack it. As drivers up front, they're waiting for those lights to go out, and it looks like it's going to be this time by. Our first attempt at a green-white checkered is going to be attempted here for the Adrenaline Therapy 200. And Adrenaline Therapy is such a great way to help those that are in very high-octane, businesses, jobs, and a way for them to be getting help, to feel like they've got a chance to feel like they've got a purpose in life. Thank you so much to all those that help through the Adrenaline Therapy, and thank you for sponsoring today's race. It is the 2nd race of the season here for the Below the Double Yellow Line Xfinity Series, and I believe, Brandon, you have more information on that Adrenaline Therapy.
Yes, I do. I wasn't quite ready for that. Got to pull it up.
Throwing it at you.
At Outlaw Desert Racing. Desert Racing is C13 nonprofit located in the Southwest, taking active duty or veteran military or first responders and giving them the navigator position, that off-road vehicle, give them that adrenaline rush and make them feel a part of a team again, and let them feel what that's like, and just get out there and get back into the world and show that there's still people and care and still people that love to have them around and appreciate what they do.
Thank you so much for all those that help in that therapy way. But for us here tonight, our first attempt at green-white checkered, Adam Baker, safe fares. Who's going to get it done? Green flag in the air, and cleanly the 44 has space to come down. Now is the question, can he run down that of the leader? Adam Baker has been the fastest car, blocking for 2nd place. Hutton tried to get lower, wasn't able to. Starling, now he's going to be trying to get a run for himself, but also the drivers behind him. Justin Carey back in 5th place. He's going to be trying to crack in and get a couple more positions, but our front 3, they are trying to pull away and single file that.
Well, again, Eric Hutton not quite able to get that good restart, allowing the 44 to clear him. Just cannot get close enough, it looks like, as we're coming to take the white flag this time by. I think it's just too little too late for the 44. He's just not got enough time to close in the distance on Adam Baker.
Yeah, Adam Baker continues to pull away, attempt that lap. He'll try to do more than that, but fares, he's only got 2 corners. If he wants a chance here through turns 3 and 4, the 44's got to send it in there. He's not close enough. Adam Baker cleanly hits his marks coming out of turn number 4. our second race of the season and our second winner of the season. Adam Baker gets it done here for the Adrenaline Therapy 200 here at Texas. What a run by that 48 machine. He started all the way back in 33rd, didn't put a qualifying lap down, had to march his way through the field twice. And somehow, once he got up front, no one was touching that 48 at all there, Brandon.
Yeah, our biggest mover by far, up 10 more positions than anybody else in the field right now. Next closest is going to be Brett Somers in the 7, finishing 12th, up 22 positions. So 32 position net gain for Adam Baker, coming away with a win as well. You can't complain about a day like that.
No, especially for Safe Fares, who at one point thought that he threw out his chances of a top 5 finish. He was able to get second place. Eric Hutton was hoping for a win here today, but just the speed the 48 had, was able to just be so much faster than everyone else, had a full 10th faster than the next driver just based off of his best lap time, which is incredible to look at. Some of the drivers' best lap times, our top 4, they all were the fastest, and it made sense where they were placed.
Absolutely. Like Adam Baker's lap, I didn't realize it was that quick. His fastest lap, 30.38. Like you said, nearly a 10th quicker than anybody else on the track. I didn't think a 3 was possible to hit out here, but Adam Baker, that goes to show why he won this race tonight.
Absolutely incredible. We're going to be talking to our top 3, our winner, Adam Baker, Safe Fares, as well as Eric Hutton in just a few moments, and we'll be back in just a few. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our top 3 at the ready. We're going to be starting off with third place runner of Eric Hutton. Had a great run, was not able to stretch it to the lead. But Eric, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you finished out in second. You got the win last week. You showed a lot of speed here today. Were you kind of shocked on how fast Adam and also Safe were there?
Yeah, definitely. I was pretty confident there at the beginning, and until we had that long run, that first long run, I just burnt my tires up, I guess, and Yeah, and then kind of Adam just came out of nowhere, so I don't know what he was doing, but at the end there, just too many restarts, not enough time, and came home third.
Yeah, it kind of looked like you had the pace if the run was about 11 laps or so. And then if it went any further than that, it seemed like you just didn't have the tires under you. When you saw that it was going to be a green, white, checkered, was there any thought of possibly hoping to come in and have more drivers following you?
Um, Track position was really important here, so probably not. I just, it's hard to say when tires would really benefit you, and if they did, I think you need a decent run once you got them. So, I don't think there was any advantage to getting tires there at the very end.
Well, top three run for yourself. Would you count this as kind of a success for yourself to just finish in the podium?
Yeah, definitely always want more, but definitely not my favorite track in the world, and definitely not the easiest track to pass at. So, running in the lead there at the beginning, you wish you had more, but you can't complain.
Well, Eric, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just appreciate everybody in the league and their sponsors and my teammates Lyle Lane and Jeremiah, and you guys for broadcast. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, congratulations and good luck next week there, Eric.
Appreciate it.
That's Eric Hutton, who's going to be coming away in third place. And then we've got ourselves here, Safe Fairs, who's going to be coming up at the booth. Hey, Safe, it's Sam up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, got you, Sam.
Well, what a race for yourself. You tried different strategies, tried two tires, kind of fell back a little bit, but were able to hold on around fifth. And once you got fresh rubber, same as everyone else, you seemed so aggressive and willing to move forward. Was there anything else left that you possibly could have had there for Adam?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. When I pitted and you saw me coming out with two tires, that was my mistake. I unchecked the box thinking that I already checked four, but me and Nick Gardner, we ended up having two. I was actually surprised that it kept pace with the fast guys as well, and we dropped to sixth, then came back to fifth, which was surprising, but a great run for us. And then that caution, third to last caution, that helped us a lot by coming in and taking four tires. At the very end, the leader, my teammate Adam, he had a really good restart. I tried to keep up with him. However, he had the pace. He got this track figured out, and he was in clean air, so that helped him a lot. Didn't have anything for him with only 2 laps. Overall, though, I'm really proud of this league and how all of us are driving, especially the top 5 tonight. That was some awesome racing with everyone. And yeah, Texas is now behind us.
Yeah, Texas was certainly a race. There were a couple of times we saw restarts with both you and Adam where you took off at the same time. Was it due to the fact that you guys were communicating and saying, hey, let's go? Or were you just surprised that Adam was able to hold on with you?
No comment. Well, it's obvious that we both actually did have a good restart there. And yeah, since we're teammates on the same channel, we communicated with one another. So it helped me a lot taking the outside so that the guys at the bottom would be bunched up together, and having my teammate behind me and pulling him towards the front. That helped both the V-Speed cars to finish 1-2 tonight.
Yes, V-Speed was quick. How helpful is it having a teammate that has been putting up some of the fastest lap times, and then yourself running pretty consistently as well?
Having a teammate definitely has its advantages. Obviously, me and Adam, he's pretty much like the CEO of our team. We run on the Cup cars as well, where he broadcasts every Thursday. Having teammates on the track, it helps a lot by relaying information about which lines to run, changing a little bit of the steering ratio, for example, or the offset, the brake biases. So it definitely helps throughout the race, and communicating that information definitely helps any team really to get faster and faster and contend for the win.
We'll say if you really had a great run. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Well, I definitely want to shout out to US Freemasonry. Thank you guys for coming on board and making this series a reality. We appreciate you guys helping us out here. Also, I want to have a shout out to Tricky, who also is a series sponsor. V-Speed Garage for sponsoring a few races in the Xfinity Series League. And of course, you guys for doing a great job on broadcasting every Monday for us.
Well, congratulations on a second place finish, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you then.
I would say fair's and now it's time to talk to the man that usually broadcasts the Cup Series and got a win here today. Adam, it's Sam up at the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, Thursdays, you're usually in the booth watching the Cup guys, but you now are in victory lane. Congratulations on your win here at Texas.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I haven't done a whole lot of racing over the last couple of years, really, and so it's a little bit strange for me to be on the opposite side of the booth this time.
Yeah, I mean, you did a great job. You did a fabulous job on that green-white checkered attempt. What was going through your mind trying to prepare for that moment?
Well, just really focused on trying to time getting to the throttle. I really try to watch the cars around me and see when they start creeping forward, and when they stop is when I go. And it worked out on each of those last few restarts. It's pretty nerve-wracking, and you don't want to give up the race on a restart like that late in the going. So just trying to get out in front and get control was really the goal there, and that's what I was able to do and able to hold on to it.
Well, it seemed like you had the most experience on how to drive through traffic. You started back in 33rd. You had to go through the field practically twice, almost 3 times. How was it trying to transfer from dirty air to that clean air and going through the field?
Well, I'll say early on in the race, really deep in the field, it was definitely tough. I felt like I was just losing so much time behind people. I started to figure out a little bit of how to save the tires and, preserve the car a little bit so I could make it up through the pack. And cautions really did kind of help a little bit in certain scenarios. And then the one, that came out after I pitted for fuel really set me back quite a ways. But just never giving up, man. You just got to keep pushing forward. And I knew I was fast and I could get up there and contend with those guys.
It was a great recovery story and got you the victory. But before we let you go there, Adam, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I'd love to thank you guys up there in the booth at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You do a great job, and really excited to have you guys doing this season here with the Xfinity cars. I want to thank US Freemasonry for sponsoring the series, Tricky Gaming on Facebook. Also, tonight's sponsor, Outlaw Desert Racing Adrenaline Therapy. They have some great work, and you should go check them out if you're watching tonight's broadcast. The drivers here at V-Speed, I want to give a shout out to Safe. Great run there for him. And as always, all the fans that came out and watched.
Well, that is going to be Adam Baker winning today here at Texas for round number 2. And hopefully you can carry this momentum on as we go to Pocono next week. Good luck there, Adam.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, that comes to a close as we're going to be taking a look at our final results. Adam Baker, what a great run for himself. Safe fares, as well as Eric Hutton, able to get 3rd place for all those drivers. Then you had Nick Starling, also as Alan Dice, Kerry, Beverly. Beverly, great job for that 15 machine. Gardner, who finally, even with the tire strategies that he called, 8th place for himself. Kyle McGarvey in 9th. And Jeremiah Vincent, even though with some of his woes, looked quick early on, 10th place for himself.
Jordan Scheffler going to be coming home in 11th. Brett Somers, 12th. Bryant Seaborn rebounding quite nicely after being involved in a late caution. In 13th position there. Zach Smith and the beautiful Freaky Fast Machine. Thank you for that, Zach. Going to be in 14th position. The 24 Nick Alvey going to be 15th. Brandon Pearl, 16th. Anthony Pelican bringing it back home, 17th after being involved in that late caution as well. Cody Adkins, 18th. Dennis Steele, 19th. And Joshua Abbey in 20th.
Then you got Timmy Emmanuel, as well as Jacob Houston, Ostrowski, Sulfridge, as well as that of Dallas Sullivan. And a lot of these drivers caught up in incidences of Joey Means, Kevin McGarvey, Leo Sulfridge, as well as that of Faircloth and Gilmore in 30th.
And rounding out your field tonight, all 6 or more laps down, going to be Brad Wilson after having a rough night involved in numerous incidents. Andrew Stacy, James Loveland, Chris Wheeler, Dylan Teal, and Kyle Payne in 36 to round out your field.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, great race that we got to see. Got to see a little bit of green flag pit stops, but a lot of cautions that made it more about strategy calls. Now, at the end, it was the fastest car all day long that got the win. But what are some of your final thoughts there, Brandon?
Well, the strategy for one thing, it's always good to see races where a lot of strategy comes into play. You can be fast, it's one thing, but you've also got to think about how to approach the race that can end up bringing you home with that checkered flag. And also just seeing the way the track changed the handling so much, cooling off throughout this race, it kind of shook up as how well that strategy is potentially going to work. As we heard, tires and track position, the track position mattered a lot more at the end of this race than the tires did. And based on what I've seen here at Texas, I'm excited to see how these guys handle the tricky triangle next week with its 3 different corners. We only had the 2 sets of different corners here, and they navigated it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, completely different courses for these first 3 races. They were at Iowa short track racing here, 1.5 miles at Texas. And then next week, the tricky triangle at Pocono. It's going to be a blast to see how they attack round number 3. And it's going to be a fun one. But for Brandon and myself, we now hand it over to Robert Moyer to give us the final call.
All right, thank you guys. Calling a great race here at Texas Motor Speedway with these guys. Man, what an action-packed race. It came down to strategy, fuel, and Adam Baker. Wow, up 32 positions. You don't see that much in sim racing, moving through the field. So make sure you go back and watch and see how he did that here at Texas. But we want to say to everybody out there, our next broadcast will be tomorrow night as we will be heading to Adrenaline Racing as we're going to be going to Watkins Glen as we're going to be turning left and right. So in the ARCA cars and then at 920 in the Cup cars. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night if you have the time. But hopefully we catch you sooner or later. But until then, we want to say God bless everybody. We love yous all. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel